dominant seventh chord that made history. This is how Beethoven's first symphony begins. Not with a bombastic gesture, not with a quiet start. Sure, we are still in the realm of the classical style with a slow overture followed by an allegro in the pure sonata form. If we look at some of Mozart's symphonies or Haydn's, the typical opening consisted of a classical trumpet call, one or more full orchestra chords to catch the attention of the audience to tell them that the show was about to start. Now, Beethoven starts disrupting the tradition right away. And what catches the audience's attention is not so much a full chord, but its harmonic gesture and the choice of its orchestration, woodwinds with strings in pizzicato underneath. Hello everyone, I'm Gianmaria Griglio and I welcome you to a new episode of Conducting Pills. If you're new here, this channel is all about classical music, score analysis and conducting tips and exercises. I want to thank all my patrons for making this series possible, and now on with Beethoven. Beethoven ventured relatively late into the symphonic world. By the time he finished his first symphony, Mozart had already composed 36 of them and Joseph Haydn nearly 20. He was far from the stylistic maturity of his predecessors. The first movement of this symphony is in classical sonata form. Exposition, development, and recapitulation, all framed by a slow introduction and a coda. The introduction presents a certain novelty. The tonality is declared only at the end of a long introduction started by some indecisive modulations. A dominant seventh chord in the unpredictable realm of F major, then G major 7 to A minor, and then D major 7 to G major. And mind you, the symphony is in C major, and we haven't touched the home key yet. The following melodic section aims to connect the initial chords to the first theme and to prepare the home key of C major, heard for the first time on bar 6. Beethoven goes through a few modulations, all close to C major, G major dominant, A minor the relative minor, F major the subdominant, and D minor the dominant of the dominant. The last 5 bars of the introduction see a dialogue in chords between strings and winds, with modulation reaching up to F major and D minor. The C major downward arpeggio of the horns ties to a G major upward scale of the strings, and the cascade of 4 notes takes us back to C major and to the first theme of the Allegro. Notice the tempo marking, Allegro con brio, meaning with vivacity. In this theme, we can identify 3 particular elements. An ascending cell formed by a dotted 8th note followed by a 16th note, 2 sets of 4 8th notes partly repeated in staccato, and 4 ascending quarter notes, again in staccato. These 3 cells will play a very important role in the development. The theme is presented twice. First on the tonic, then on the second degree of the scale, always by the strings. The chords at the end of the phrase increase in weight every time. The woodwinds at first, then woodwinds and horns. The same material is used to build a crescendo, and eventually trumpets and timpani are added to this bridge. A brief dialogue between strings and woodwinds follows. And that middle cell of the theme is used to bridge to the second theme. In a typical Haydn fashion, the second theme is derived from the first. It's a regular phrase of 8 bars built on 2 parts of 4 bars each. The first cell consists of a dialogue between oboe and flute. Underneath, the strings accompanied with dotted quarter notes in an arpeggio derived from the last cell of the first theme. The second cell is a delicate and syncopated melodic line, reinforced by the clarinet and the bassoon. And notice all the little sforzandos that Beethoven sprinkles everywhere and that we've seen times and again in his works. The theme is repeated as per tradition with some variations in the orchestration, reaching a forte and then a fortissimo. Here comes another surprise. What follows could be an idea of a third theme, or a variation on the second, or the codetta of the section. We move subtly from fortissimo to pianissimo and from major to minor. We can clearly recognize some elements from both the second and the first theme in the bass line, while the oboe and the bassoon counterpoint with the melancholic line. This parenthesis lasts only a few bars. The clouds dissipate and we're back to G major, heading for the coda of the exposition. The development begins with the first two cells of the first theme played in A major, and they land on the second part of the second theme, the syncopations. This 4 bars model is repeated at the distance of a fourth, first to D and then G. This way, Beethoven takes us back to C, only C minor this time. In this section, the third cell of the first theme takes on the main role, passed from one section to another. Basses, violins, woodwinds. The game starts in C minor and is repeated in F minor. The cell is presented in an inverted motion, and the short crescendo introduces an element of the second theme. The harmony remains on B flat major, preparing for the next section. An imitation game built on the first cell of the first theme, presented here in E flat major. The imitation game is repeated in F minor and in G minor, and ends with the codetta of the development, which is fundamentally based on 3 harmonies: E major, A minor, and the final suspended cadenza on the dominant 7th. The recapitulation deviates immediately from the exposition. First of all, it's presented with the full orchestra. Second, the dynamic is fortissimo with added sforzandos. The bridge to the second theme is also changed, using the same descending 4 notes that introduced the first theme the very first time we heard it. Everything is more compact, as in the exposition the coda of the first theme ends on the dominant, and in a pure sonata form style, the second theme appears in the home key. The final coda takes up the theme first in C major, then in A major, and then in G major. And in the final bars of the movement, the first theme appears 3 more times in the tonic. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button right below the video and ring the bell so you will get notified every time a new video comes out. For more in-depth analysis, conducting technique, and conducting exercises, look on my website where you can find more than 80 videos and follow my Facebook group. And if you want to support this series, you're always welcome to do so on Patreon. All the links are in the description. Let me know in the comments what you think about this piece and if you have any suggestions for future videos, and in the next episode of this series we'll keep going with this wonderful symphony. In the meanwhile, please continue to enjoy music and be well. Ciao! The difficulty lies in getting the orchestra to be together on the downbeat, as we have the woodwinds and horns with the violins, pizzicato underneath. The trick, if we want to call it that, is right here in the